Okay, now I want to talk about healing, self-healing. So, I want to say this over and over and over again. There is no one way of doing anything, and it's your job to trust yourself and do what you need to do at any given time and place. And usually that's based on where you're vibrating in the moment and your belief systems. So I'm not really going to talk about regular Western medicine. That's pretty 3D, really. It's pretty bad. Most people should know that already. As a retired RN, let me assure you, I was very good at my job. I know a lot of information regarding Western modern medicine, and it was unfortunately kind of taken over by the money makers. So it's more about making money off you than it is about healing you. It's more about treating the symptom instead of the cause. But most people that are watching this, you probably already know this information, so you're not going to get cured by it. However, with most people's belief system, if you're in a traumatic situation, please go and get it taken care of by modern medicine. If you're on modern medicine, don't just cut off and don't do it anymore because of what I have to say here. If you are using it and you believe in it, it will work, even if it's modern medicine. It's all about what you believe. But for those that are kind of out of that way of thinking and the belief system, there's naturopaths all over the place now. I encourage you to use them. The internet is just chock full of all kinds of old-time herbal remedies to cure everything. I mean, seriously, everything. There's many ways of curing diabetes, and there's a lot of diabetics out there. There's many ways of curing high blood pressure. Many ways. Anything that you've got that you need healed, there is a cure for you. Now, I'm not going to go into the cures because it's already out there. Type in whatever you've got and you'll come up with many ways of treating it that are cheap, inexpensive, and in your area, okay? Now, I want you to understand that you don't have to use just one way. So, if you've got access to Chinese herbs and they're fresh and good and you believe in them, then use them. But do some checking on your own backyard. I encourage everyone to use honey. This isn't anything new. Refined sugar, refined flour, white flour are really bad for you. Know where your food is coming from. Use your local fresh farmers. Use your local if you eat meats. You probably have a farm or a rancher close enough that you can get food from them. So fresh fruits and vegetables are just super important right now. Clean food in this process, very important. And that will help a lot. Just clean food and clean water. That will do a lot for you. The rest of it, look it up. But what I want to say on this video mostly is don't pay attention to somebody else. You're going to go through and you're going to hear their story, but it may not work for you. That, I think, is the biggest problem with 3D people. They're really bad about saying, okay, whether it's education or religion or health or whatever, lifestyles, that what humans have done have said, okay, this is the book on how to do this. It's 20 pages long. Follow these rules, check them off, and you will be happy. You will be healthy. You will be smart. Well, that's just silly. Do you know anybody that's like anybody else when you get to know them? Of course not. So it's very complicated. An educational process that works for one person is not going to work for another. You can force yourself into those rules, and I was a straight A student, but I didn't learn anything, really, because, well, very little. What I was interested in, I learned quite well, and what I wasn't, I memorized, passed the test with flying colors, and then promptly forgot it, because I didn't care. So, but I still got straight A's, and according to them, I'm smart. No, I'm not. I was very good at memorization for short terms. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was very, very good at figuring out what kind of questions a teacher was going to ask me, and then I would memorize those areas. And it worked every time. Well, does that make me smart? Well, according to their rules, I was. Am I smart? Sure, but everybody's smart. They're just smart in different ways. Same thing is true with health. Your diabetes may be caused by different problems than somebody else. And I'll use myself, for example. I have always had weight issues. And I have been on every diet imaginable. And it took me decades and decades and decades just recently to figure out that it has nothing to do with the food I'm taking. It has nothing to do with exercise. Lord knows I exercise more than anybody I know. And I was still fat. Well, you know why I was fat? Because I was raped as a child. And then I was raped as adults. And you know what? Nothing better to get some guys to not look at you than weight. And it worked beautifully. So, because when you gain weight, at least in America, people don't see you. You become very invisible. And that worked for me because it was a dangerous world that I had been living in for decades. And it was an excellent way of becoming invisible. And if I was invisible, I was much safer. See, so would food intake and exercise help my weight? Well, of course not, because it didn't have anything to do with that. It had to do with trust issues and safety issues that I have to deal with. And I'm dealing with that, and the weight is really dropping off because I create my own universe, so I have to create a safe universe, one that I believe is safe for me. And now the weight is coming off. And I haven't changed anything else. As a matter of fact, I exercise less. As you know, the food issue is from another video. I don't eat very much, but that doesn't have anything to do with it because I've done that for years. That happens when you work 6, 7, 14 hours a day and you just don't have time as a nurse to stop and eat. So, that I've been doing for a long time, deep breathing and sun gazing, etc. So it really has to do with a fear and trust issue. So I want you to really find out what your personal issues are, because your diabetes may not have anything to do with diet and exercise. It may be some kind of thing like my weight is, that you're doing something and causing it. So you're really going to have to get into yourself and learn to listen to yourself, trust yourself, talk to yourself, and find out how to heal yourself. Now, that's for people heading to 5D. That's beginning stage. Trust your intuition, which is telepathy, and it will grow. Start healing yourself and figuring out what is causing these issues. And that is how you head to 5D. Now, for 4D people, then you can still do the same thing, but you might rely a little bit heavier on modern medicine and machines, and that's perfectly fine. You may visualize Star Trek-like healing processes, machines that help heal the body, and you can start visualizing that kind of thing and moving towards timelines that heal the human body that way, and that's perfectly fine. Or aliens that have really new technologies that heal the human body, or hidden technologies that are going to be released by the government that heal the human body, that clean up the planet, that whatever, name it. For 5D people, you need to visualize going to timelines where the planet is clean, period. Where you just desire it and you go to it, and that's that. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. If anybody has any questions about this, please comment or email me. And I don't know if I'll talk to you again today or not. It just seems to be popping in my head. All right. I love you all. Huge hugs. Bye-bye now.